Amphibians, beware, you're in for a scare. Yes, it is the Halloween special of Amphibia. It's season two's episode 20. I keep going by how many episodes there are instead of their actual episode number, but it's my show. I'll do what I want to do. Episode 20 titled The Shut In, which at first I thought it was about an actual shut in, but no, it's something bigger than that. As we get this awesome Halloweenified version of the amphibian Opio with creepy overlays on everything. Honestly, well done, guys, very reminiscent of Gravity Falls, and I love the blood red title. Oof, so creepy. So let's jump in, shall we? As we see that fall has come to the little frog town, as everyone is going door to door, not for tricks, not for treats, but for gathering supplies, because they will be shutting themselves in, as it is the day of the blue moon. Legend has it that if you should look upon the blue moon, it will turn you into a monster, and regales Polly with tales of her own personal tradition back on Earth called Halloween, about tricks, about treats, and candy, which Polly is, of course, enraptured by. But as we see all the supplies that they've gotten, we see that Anne actually got a flamethrower. I wonder if that'll ever come back at any point. I love it. It's just like someone just gave her a flamethrower. It's amazing. But the more Anne sees of what they do in preparation for it, the more she thinks it's just a holiday. Now, mind you, it's not wrong that she thinks this way, as ultimately even Halloween was actually based off of something that was used to ward away evil spirits back in the day of our world. That's the basis for Halloween. But as time went on and it became more commercialized, it was all about the candy. Yes, candy. You want to sell candy, you want to eat candy. And people want that sweet, sweet money. See DuckTales episode. So ultimately, that's how it goes. Commercialization takes the spirit out of the most spiritual of holidays. But Hopadiah insists that this is no laughing matter, that they must all stay inside and just hunker down and make sure nothing happens to any of them, with the planters going all in on this. But, Anne really does kind of treat this as a holiday, as they'll just be staying up late telling scary stories. So, if nothing else, it's more or less just a holiday to her. So, everyone gathers round the fire in order to tell spooky stories about what's supposed to be true events, but of course, none of them are true events. Honestly, this whole episode is apparently non-canon, as said by the creator Matthew Bradley himself. And Braley, Matthew Braley, I think. Mm. I see his name enough that I should know how to pronounce it. But everyone's ready to tell some spooky stories, especially Polly, who has a story called A Night at the Inn, where they were traveling all together to an inn that was infested by cannibals. And it's immediately pointed out, yeah, we were all there for that, Polly. So, while Polly thinks of something else, Anne has her own scary story to tell about her phone called FOMO. Which they say what Mo means, but I don't really care enough to actually remember. And she tells it as in, like, this happens to someone I knew called Annie at another school, and not mine, with my two friends. What was it? Twig and Molly? Which is just Sprig and Polly in human form, and honestly, I love seeing the two of them as middle schoolers. Like, honestly, legit, I would literally love to see this happen some more. They're so fun to look at. And they just love, animal videos and stuff like that. Like, all teens, anyone between the ages of like 35 to 5 to 35 enjoys just random videos on the internet. But then we have Hattie, who's the human version of Maddie, along with Brody, who's the human version of Toady. Maddie was the creepy girl who had a crush on Sprig, and Toady is the mayor's assistant who's a teen here for some reason. So, very interesting. I love the designs. Like, seriously, I'd be all in for a show of featuring these characters. But they have a video of their own with Brody saying that it's apparently a cursed video. Viewer beware, you're in for a scare. Which, Twig is none too interested in because, curse and all that good stuff. But Molly ends up viewing it, not fearing no curse, with Twig doing his best to dissuade Annie from viewing it, lest she be cursed as well. But, of course, being Anne, she naturally views it on her own time. It's a cute little animal video and has virtually no dislikes for some reason. Very strange for the internet. But during lunchtime, I have to keep looking at what their names are. Hattie meets up with Anna because apparently Brody has mysteriously gone missing. And so, because of this, Hattie thinks that maybe something happened to Brody. Maybe the curse is real. But, as Anna tries to dissuade her from this, lights start flickering and the phone starts bugging out. And when Anne leaves, suddenly, Hattie is sucked right into her phone, with no one being any the wiser. Late that night, as Anne plays with essentially Beanie Babies? Like, seriously. This whole series hits a little too close to home for me. But she's contacted by Twig, who says that Brody, Hattie, as well as Molly have all gone missing. And he says that as long as Anna didn't look at the video, she should be fine. Which, of course, she did. And Twig's just like, well, you're screwed, dude. You are screwed. As suddenly the cute cat video appears on screen, but in the background we see Brody, Molly, and Hattie, as well as an older gentleman who says he's been trapped in this video for 30 years. Which raises a lot of questions considering the internet isn't well, widespread videos like this haven't been around for 30 years. So, raises a lot of questions in terms of that. But suddenly, the creature emerges from Anna's phone and reveals itself, the video demon. Oh man, this thing's design is so creepy and cool. And as it goes to gobble Anna up, when she mentions how uncute it is now, it recoils in fear and Anne realizes, oh, that's how you defeat it. Dislike, say it's unwatchable, it's disgusting, and finish it off by commenting, it's the worst video ever, destroying the monster and freeing the kids, who for some reason are covered in boba? Like, what? just throwing in boba there for some reason. And as the older gentleman leaves, as everyone hugs it out, saying that they'll never be caught up in a fad again, in comes Twig saying, hey, there's a haunted mall. They have this sale going down. There's some event going down at by the haunted mall or something like that. Let's go. And they all are all in for it, having learned nothing from their previous adventure. And as they leave, the boba balls pop, revealing more of the video demons. Which, the planters love the story, it's all cool, but they do get freaked out when Anna's phone goes off. But it was actually just an alert that Wally's birthday is today. Poor, poor Wally. Now, Polly actually finally has an idea for a story, and it's Children of the Spore, about people being controlled by spores. But it's literally, once again, something they've all been through already. It's just like, we've been through this. So Hoppediah tells his story, which is the tale of him in his younger days with a full head of hair, where he would ferry these various different aristocrats here and there, one of which is the debonair looking Mr. Littlepot, and who has a list of locations that he wants Hoppediah to take him to, and has Hoppediah promise that should he say go, move on, they move on. With Hoppediah even saying that you don't have to pay me until the end of the road, showing Hoppediah's being a very good businessman ultimately, an honest businessman, I should say. But they then arrive at the first house that Hoppediah is aware of. He's just like, yeah, the residence inside has been, you know, been ill with a very terrible disease. I hope he gets better. And, ultimately the Mr. Littlepot goes in. You hear a crash, a bang, and someone screams out for the person's name. And Mr. Littlepot says to move on. And Hoppediah questions if they should help. But they move on over to an elderly lady's house, only for Hoppediah to see some kind of very poisonous snake enter into the residence, and the old lady scream. But Mr. Littlepot goes in. Hoppediah thinks, oh, okay, he's going in to help her, only for him to suddenly appear back in the wagon, telling Hoppediah to move on. And Hoppediah very much wants to go in and see if the old lady's okay. Aren't we going to help her? Aren't we going to do anything? But Littlepot says, you promised me. You told me you'd give me your word that you would move on when I said to do so. So, Hoppediah moves on, questioning how misfortune seems to follow them wherever they go, as if death were among them. Littlepot confirming this, with Hoppediah realizing he has the Reaper in his car. But Mr. Littlepot says that he's not quite here for him. He's just doing a job. He's all business. There's no need to fear the Reaper, as he tells Hoppediah to move on if he wants his bag of money. So Hoppediah does just that, but the last stop ends up being Hoppediah's home, meaning that Hoppediah is next on the list. So as Mr. Littlepot, swings his scythe down on Hoppediah, it turns out he was after Hoppediah's hair, taking it for his own. With ending the story and leaving Anne thinking, yeah, Hoppediah, that was kind of messed up. But Polly now has her story ready to go, and it ends up being a story of the beast living out in the woods with a weird face bump. It's a story about Anne, which Anne very much takes offense to. Like, dude, really? What the heck? So story time is turned over to Sprig, with a story he ends up calling, interestingly enough, Skin Deep, which honestly is probably one of the more creepy stories in all of this anthology. It's very Treehouse of Horror-esque, all things considered, where Sprig and Ivy were playing some bug ball. Ivy's hat flew off when she hit the ball, and she covers it up, feeling self-conscious about the way her hair looks. Cute moment where Sprig says she looks cute nonetheless, yada yada yada. They wander into the woods, where Ivy tells a tale that they're close to the house of the seamstress, known for taking the skins of frogs and sewing them into a suit for herself. Then they come upon a cabin with a broken window, meaning that their brawl is inside. So Ivy breaks in, with Sprig noticing some knitting tools, but Ivy's just like, yeah, dude, that's very common in most houses. So Sprig comes upon his ball, but it's on a barrel that tips over. And inside the barrel, what could it be? Why, frog skins, you see! And when they go to escape, they're confronted by none other than the seamstress, who stitched together a suit made of amalgam of different frogs. Gee willikers, that is creepy. Like, yo, seriously. Nightmare fuel. And of course, they freak out But Ivy, being the little badass that she is, goes in for some CQC, close quarters combat, and while it's actually some pretty good moves, she does end up getting handed. Again, little girl. But seeing this, Sprig goes in for the kill, only to rip off the seamstress's mask, revealing the creature for what it really is, a translucent being. And Sprig recognizes this. It's a glass frog. Their skin is see through. Which, yes, there are actually frogs like this with see through skin. It's just as kind of creepy and nasty as this. And at first, Ivy seems to kind of just empathize with the creature, saying that, oh, just needed that skin in order to feel good about yourself because you just couldn't be comfortable in your own skin, only for Ivy to immediately slam her hat down on the glass frog's face, kicking the glass frog in the butt, with Sprig full on going arsonist, slamming down the nearby lantern on the ground, sending the entire house up in flames. Ivy ends up getting bit while trying to escape, but they do manage to get away and run from the glass frog, leaving it to its fate, with Sprig commenting that he really does like Ivy's hair. And the reaction of everyone as he finishes is just like, yo, what the heck? And just like, dude, didn't Ivy get bit? Is she okay? Polly's just like, is that creature still out there? When Hoppediah questioning it, just like, dude, did any of those skins look like my friend? Like, yo, Sprig, what the fuck? But this is interrupted by a rap tap tapping at their door. And, against everyone's better judgment, Sprig breaks open the door, revealing none other than Ivy, with a frog skin face, with freaking out everyone, only to reveal that it was just a prank. Very much in the Halloween spirit. And while everyone's just like, yo, what the heck? If she reveals that it's just burlap and all that good stuff. It's none of it is real. And, Ivy runs home before, the whole Blue Moon event, using the mask in order to keep from looking at the moon. But then they notice Polly is gone, with a note revealing that she had actually gone to look at the blue moon so that she could have a story of her own. So they run outside trying to protect themselves in the process, only to see that Polly has gazed upon the blue moon and nothing. Not a thing seems to have happened, with Polly feeling kind of down on herself that she didn't have anything to contribute to the story night. But, everyone else reveals that, yo, dude, the sheer thought that something might have happened to you, that was, reason enough alone for us to feel chills, to feel scared and intimidated by this event. So, if nothing else, she did manage to scare everyone. But as everyone heads back inside, Polly stops for a moment. She seems to start to react. Whereas everyone thought that maybe the curse, there was nothing to it, it was all just a legend. Polly transforms into a werebeast, revealing that the tale was true, and she heads inside, revealing her monstrous form to everyone else, with them screaming in terror, thus ending the episode. What a fun time. What a great episode. Very much had to be out of canon because reasons, but really just some really awesome elements all throughout this. Just phenomenal storytelling, gruesome imagery. Like Halpadiah's story was just kind of whatever, but man, Anne's and Sprig's stories, the creatures that appear there, whoa, just terrifying moments right there. Dude, I would love to actually see this fleshed out as something deeper, which they probably are. I'm pretty sure Habadiah's story was a parody of Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is a Disney property. I, I, the Anne story seems to be a parody of The Ring because videotapes, you don't use videotapes anymore, so, YouTube videos, of course. And Sprig's story seemed to be a parody of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, with the person who cuts up people's flesh and sews it together to wear. But even still, it's always great to see a fun twist on stories like this. And man, the end card, just the skeletons of Anne and Sprig? Jeez, that is dark. It fully took me off guard, but man, this episode killed it for me. Like, one of the spookiest things I've seen in a good while in terms of children's media. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Were you spooked out by any of the tales in this episode? Or did you ultimately feel that you were made of tougher stuff and weren't spooked once? Tell me that and more in the comment section below. If you liked this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you never miss out on another Amphibia episode review. And until then, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.